Hey guys, welcome back to the show tonight. This is kind of an impromptu Monday Night Live. Lily sent me a message last night. She's like, "Holy shit, you guys, if you saw the Facebook post or on all the social media platforms." She was like, "I just wrote 5 pages of messages I downloaded from the Federation, essentially. I don't know if it was a download or however that works. We'll let you explain it."
Mhm.
And I know it's some really interesting stuff, and we're like in some exciting times right now. We're talking about timeline shifts and like solidifying a positive timeline. And it's really interesting that all this information is just coming to the forefront right now, and it seems to be some positive things in motion. So, without wasting any more time, welcome back to the show, Lily. How's it going?
Hi, I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I think this is really important information. Usually the ETs don't tell me anything unless they know that it can be shared publicly. Some things I keep to myself, but usually whenever they give me these messages, it's last night was obviously 5 full pages. That was obviously for the collective, and I think to bring hope and also bring a little bit of clarity. Uh, and make sense of what's going on right now. And some of the things that they told me like really blew my mind. But even just today, I'm seeing evidence of it just playing out. So we're going to start seeing these things unfolding, like some of
Mhm.
them pretty instantly. So, yeah, exciting times. Yeah, I'm super excited.
So, are we talking things in the political realm or on a global scale? I mean, what kind of information was coming through?
Yeah, this is going to mostly be political stuff and dealing with politicians, a lot of it. Some stuff from the programs, but yeah. So, fair
Did,
warning about some of the things that I may share. It may trigger some people, but it is what it is. Take it or leave it.
did they say anything about the election coming up or what would happen?
Yeah, they did. So, so they've been I started seeing just a little bit of background. I'm not a political person at all. I was not a political person at all. I had no idea about any of it. Um, and about a year or two ago, they started sending me visions of Trump. So I started seeing him. And basically, they were telling me there's more to it than what meets the eye. And from what I've gathered, he's part of the White Hats and working with the Alliance and all of that. So I've been seeing that for the past year or so. And so now I started to pay attention. They also started giving me messages about other figures like Dick Cheney and stuff like that, about how evil they are, kind of teaching me about some of the corruption. Because I'm like newer on this journey. I started having contact in 2020. So I've been on the crash course of discovering all of this. But anyways, so yeah, I've been paying attention to that recently. And a few nights ago, I had a dream slash training session with these Pleiadian looking beings, Pleiadians from the Galactic Federation, where they came down on their ship and they had to time travel down to land on Earth. And then a bunch of them got out and we were like mingling, and I got to meet some of the beings that I've been talking to telepathically and psychically for years, which was a really cool experience. I've never had something like that happen before. And and whenever I woke up, I could hear them clear as day, like I was on the phone with them. We talked about a few things. They said that was a training module to prepare me for going up on the ship and contact. And since the communication was so clear, I said, okay, well, what about the election? I
Mhm.
took advantage. I wanted to take advantage of that like super clear connection. And what they said was that Trump was going to win and that they've made sure of it. And then they showed me, and that's going to be a conduit of change. He's there to help break down the system.
Yeah.
All right. And help
Right.
expose a lot of things. And they gave me a bunch of stuff that's going to be exposed. That's what a lot of these 5 pages are about, things that are going to be exposed in the next like some months. Some of them maybe years, but a lot of them months. As soon as Trump gets into office. Do you have any questions or comments on that? They show me one other thing that has to do with the politics, but do you have any questions or comments on that?
Well, I'll just say you already confirmed multiple things that I think I can speak for Tyler as well, that we pretty much thought about Trump and what was going on, that he's working with the White Hats. He's a conduit for change. He's here to break down the system and expose things. He's not a savior, but he is working with the forces of light. Let's just say that, as a playing a role to do all those things, to help do all those things.
Right.
So that's huge confirmation.
And it's important to remember, if anyone watched our episode with Samuel Chong, um, we talked about the Illuminati, right? And the highest ranking member of the Illuminati wrote a book, and that's what the episode was about. But specifically in the book, the guy, from the horse's mouth, he said it can only be taken down from the inside, meaning that you have to bump shoulders with a lot of these corrupt players in the game and almost play double agent, right? Pretend like you're one of them in some cases. So whenever people see Trump photographed with Epstein or whatever the case may be, that doesn't necessarily mean that he was participating. Maybe he was where he was supposed to be, getting the inside scoop, getting the dirt on his enemies, keep your friends close, your enemies closer, right? So, um, just wanted to put that out there before we move forward. So, yeah, what else did you get as far as the political arena goes?
Yeah, I really like that you said that. Both of what you guys said, 100%, like spot on. The other thing that they said after that, they showed me, I saw a vision of RFK Jr., and they said that he's going to be another really big part of the change and the transition. And they said that the JFK files would be released, and it's going to shock the world. And that's going to wake a lot of people up.
That's
because
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten a version of them, like of some of them released, I guess, but it's all been redacted, and
Yeah.
so
Not really.
yeah, not really.
Yeah.
So it would be amazing, and I can only imagine what the internet's going to look like once that happens. It's going to explode, but it's what we've been waiting for. So that's great, and I really do hope all this pans out.
Right. Yeah, I was shocked that yeah, I don't know. Just shocked. That's what we've all been kind of like praying for, these things to be released, and some of the things that they told me that's going to play out. Of course, it could be a potential, but I feel pretty confident that they wouldn't be telling me this unless they're, it's maybe not a done deal, but pretty much, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So what kind of things are in your 5 pages that are going to be exposed?
Yeah, so lots. Let's see. Well, I want to actually, I just thought of something a second ago that you guys might find interesting. So, the timeline wars, temporal wars, all of that. On the way back from Shasta, or as I was leaving Shasta, I suddenly got like this kind of telepathic message / download that we've already done 2025 before. Like we've already done it before.
Wow.
But it did not work out. So we're doing it again, basically.
Interesting.
So that happened with our friend Nikki. She
That's
relived
exactly what I thought of.
what was it, 2023 or 2024? I mean,
No, this year,
this year.
2024.
Yeah.
Well, in half of 2023, the second half of 2023 and the first half of 2024. And then she
And-
woke up one day and it was summer of 2023 again. She had already lived that whole year.
But she didn't just like say, "Oh, I lived that year." She had like phenomenal detailed recall. She
Detailed.
she was like she went to see a Ninja Turtles movie that was all female Ninja Turtles, and she even explained to us the plot of the movie, and she took her nephew or something or whatever, and they were
Mhm.
and like I mean all this stuff, but it just never happened. And then she woke up one day and had to redo the year. But she had recall of that. And it's really interesting that you're saying this now. So a large group of us might have, already done this, and now we're doing it again. And I'm in the middle of writing my book right now, and I'm talking about the temporal war, these timeline wars too. So this is all very fascinating to me, and it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, time travel's been a big thing. And I've been told for a while that I'm a time traveler. I think we're all travelers, really. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So if we've done it before and it didn't pan out, and I've had dreams dreams of that happening too, where I was like on a mission and basically bad guys got us, we're screwed. We had to redo it, and things even changed. Like I was good friends with one person in that timeline, and then we had to redo it. And then in this new one, we had to strategize and do things differently. And just so many details were different, just a little bit different. So who knows how many times we've done this. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool and a good sign that we're starting to suddenly see all of the shifts that we are and that these messages are coming through. Okay, so some of the other stuff that I got about, let me see. So on September 3rd, I was contacted and I heard the time is near. A portal will open up and we will rid the earth of darkness. And I literally got the vision of like this portal opening up in the sky and like, you know, like benevolent, like very high vibrational beings coming through and just like clearing the earth of darkness. And I was told, be strong, Illuminati and corruption will be exposed. We need you to rest, focus on manifesting your highest timeline. So that was something that happened a few days ago, but I wanted to mention that. And then some of the other things that I got, let's see. So I stepped out on my back porch last night and I saw a ship and I heard telepathically, this is how it started, we need you. And I was like, what do you need me for? What's going on? And they basically said, you know, go lay down, meditate, and we're going to give you some messages. And I was sitting there for like 5 hours writing down these pages. So the first thing that they showed me was the Dark Fleet. And they said that they're incapacitated, deprived of strength or power. And I saw a vision of them leaving. So they're being forced out right now, the Dark Fleet. And then they go ahead. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I do actually. So that would align with something I've heard some other people say as far as a lot of these groups that are here, the Dark Fleet and the Illuminati, the Freemasons, with these secret society types, right? They're actually from the Orion system. And in the Orion system, the satanic rule works there. It can work, but we're a free will planet here and it doesn't work. But they've somehow gotten away with it for hundreds of thousands of years. And the time is over. Like there's negotiations literally as we speak between like people in the military and these groups, these ET groups, and they're trying to like figure out a way to peacefully transition instead of doing like a military coup or something that's gonna, you know, make things worse. And a lot of them are just like their hand is being forced and they have to leave essentially. Like their satanic rule can't exist here anymore because, you know, the planet is going into our uncharted territories into the universe, and they're not a frequency match anymore. So that aligns exactly with like other information that I've been hearing. And you know, Daryl James always talked about, you know, the off-world Germans and Dark Fleet, and they told him specifically that there were people that have defected that no longer bow down to the reptilians, right? And they're helping us. So it's gonna be it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray area now, and people who might once we thought were working for the dark may have, you know, found a way out and they're able to help us transition. So anyway.
Right. And that was one of the other things that they said. I told you the other day, like at some point in the last year, I got downloads and visions of my brother, my younger brother, being in the Dark Fleet. But I saw him defecting, him and a whole group of people defected. And I don't know what happened to them, but I saw that. And then whenever they told me the Dark Fleet, and then they said that an aspect of me was in it, but I defected and I helped bring them down, I guess, via intel. And I'm sure so many double agents, you know what I mean?
Yeah, double, triple agents.
That was the plan the whole time. What'd you say?
Yeah, I was like double, triple agents. I mean, I can only imagine what the war really looks like. The Shadow War and the amount of it's an intel war, right? It's an information war, and you got to have dirt on these people to take them down legally. So I can only imagine that so many of us have assisted in that.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling. And they were saying the word time dilation. Well, first I was seeing like this time bubble of like the Nazis in it and stuff, and then they were saying time dilation. And I was getting like the one true ascending timeline is like expanding. The highest timeline is expanding, and then these other time bubbles are collapsing. It's kind of the visual I got, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
that lines up with so much stuff I've been getting to. Were you gonna say something there? Yes.
no, that lines up with exactly what I suspected was going on,
Yeah.
and things I've heard as well. That timelines, that these lower timelines are like collapsing, so to speak, and the main positive timeline is expanding or solidifying, or whatever term you want to use, more and more. So that like nothing is going to like steer us up, no matter how hard they try to steer us off of it and onto some other timeline, it's not going to work. And in fact, it's just going to backfire, which is what we kind of see happening. Everything they try to do, it just backfires on them and wakes more people up, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's lines up perfectly with everything I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So when they say time dilation, like that's interesting because that can be perceived a few different ways. Like, are they talking about like some sort of actual like slowing down of time and like rearranging things? So like let's say, were they able to like slow down time or stop time and move the bullet so it didn't hit Trump? Like, are we talking about that type of time dilation to shift the timeline?
I mean, I think that definitely could be a part of it. My initial, and a lot of the time they communicate with me through like visions, and it kind of comes with like an understanding, or like symbology. A lot of it's like symbology. Um, what I was getting, I was kind of seeing like the highest timeline expanding, and I don't know what that is doing like quantumly. That's good. It sounds good. It's good what they were saying, but I mean, I don't know the mechanics of it. But I definitely do believe that they're also tweaking things like with the Trump assassination, for
Right,
example.
Mm-hmm.
right.
I mean,
And
that was perfect. It barely grazed him enough to, you
Well,
know,
he moved only because he moved his head at the exact split second.
yeah.
Like, you
right.
know, you can't just do, the people trying to say it was like faked and staged, it's like you can't stage that,
Well, you
right?
know what it reminds me of though is the latest Matrix movie, whenever they have that technology where he's able to basically freeze time and like do all this stuff in like
Mhm.
less than a second that's experienced in the
Yeah.
from the third dimensional perspective. And he's literally showing him like moving the bullet. And like, why can't something like that actually be possible? And just, groups that we're not aware of with technologies that aren't supposed to
Hmm.
exist, right before our very eyes, and in the blink of an eye that no one would actually notice. I'm not making any claims that that's what happened, but we have to consider the possibility, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
let's look at it this way. I mean, if you understand how advanced many of these ETs are, and you understand the abilities, that the natural abilities even outside of the technology that many of them have, and that's, by the way, our own abilities that are dormant for the most part. You can stop time, slow down time, time travel. You can do all these things that seem like magic to most of us, but it's not. It's they're just abilities that
Mhm.
they have, or technology, or there's those two things kind of go hand in hand, actually. So, and as Tyler and I know, like, if you study the ET phenomenon, and a lot of these contactees and abductees and stuff, what happens? Missing time. They're put back in time with no memory, uh, the secret space program stuff. They're 20 years go by, and then they're put back at the exact moment in time that they were taken, and age regret. Like, if all of that stuff's possible, why would it not be possible to adjust something like, oh, this bullet in one timeline hits him and kills him, but then we're gonna like go back in time, adjust it so that it just hits his ear, like they can
Right,
absolutely do that. Of course they can
right.
do
Hmm.
Yeah. I've had
All right,
tons
what's
of
next?
strange I've had tons of strange interactions with them where literally it's just an instant. You think a thought and instantly
that. Mhm.
like they've moved something in my physical uh environment, or just weird stuff that defies our logic.
Right.
Uh so let's see. I saw some sort of a device or technology emitting frequencies that were destroying the negative entities, purging them from the planet. And I saw light spreading throughout the underground tunnels and bases. And then I saw some of the negative, like negative people in the bases time traveling out of there, going in, and they said they're going back to where they came. So I saw them like time traveling out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, why wouldn't that be possible, you know? And like I just said, if some of these groups are forced to go back to wherever they came from, like the Orion system or Saturn or whatever, I don't know what the hell it looks like, but yeah, that resonates.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, I think it was right before I left for Mount Shasta, I was contacted and I was told and shown visions of, they said there's about to be a war underground, like a really big war, like the biggest of the
Mm.
biggest. And that was like 2 months ago. So I think that was really like clearing the space. And finally, now it's like there's no chance of them winning anymore. So now they're being forced to leave, but they put up a fight. It seems a
Right.
lot of it was being cleaned up, but they were saying underground war, like a huge war. Then they said they were talking about like bugs, parasites being cleared out. They mentioned a Stargate, which is interesting because you were just telling me yesterday, I think, or the other day, that you can't travel through a Stargate if you have like parasites.
Yeah, that's what somebody told me. Um I was told that it was the reason that we're all infested with parasites, including the big name and the big players, politicians and everybody, is because you can't once if a parasite travels through a Stargate, it expands exponentially and you'll literally explode. You'll like combust, right? And it's like a basically like a safety measure to ensure that nobody leaves the planet. Like, what better way to keep people from passing through the celestial stargates is if they're infested with parasites. They know if they were to try to leave, they're dead anyway. So it forces them to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really interesting. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. They'll give me little messages and I'll see things, but it's really there's a significance to what order it's in, even if I don't understand completely like everything that it means.
Hmm.
Like I usually kind of figure it out later, or there's a significance. So I thought it was interesting. They were showing the parasites and then the Stargate. And then they said Joe Biden is fallen. I saw the royal elite, negative reptilians, puppet masters in a meeting. Like they were discussing things. And then I heard the key to victory telepathically. Then I was tuning into that, and then I was picking up on the Magdalene bloodline, that being one of the keys, a big part of the key to history was what
Right.
I was going to, plus the DNA and your heart space and all of that. But I thought that was interesting.
Right. That is
Yeah.
really interesting. That's what Mary Beaver claims to be part of that Magdalene bloodline, and that's why she's the heiress to all this stuff. And she was doing whatever she was doing, confronting the military. Um, it's just coincidence or not, but it's interesting to note.
Yeah. And then I just watched the Da Vinci Code the other day, and that's the Holy Grail, Mary Magdalene and the bloodline. I think that there's
Yeah.
probably millions of descendants
Yeah.
on millions.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a
Right.
lot,
And
not
it's
just one or a few.
and yeah, Max Spears used to talk about the Holy Grail being royal blood. Like that,
Hmm.
the Holy Grail actually meant royal blood, royal bloodline. And there were some elites and whatever groups, darker groups that would try to drink the royal bloodline to become absorbed, that energy, let's say the Mary Magdalene energy, right? Or like King Charlemagne, I think, is another one. But it's really interesting to instead of viewing it as just like a chalice, like
Not
a
a
religious,
literal
yeah,
chalice. Yeah.
yeah, like a religious
Grail.
relic, which there might have been a chalice they drank from, but it was really more about the blood, right? And it's just interesting to think of that way.
Yeah, very interesting. So I wonder, I would hope then that that would come to the light about, that Mary Magdalene and Yeshua had children and that there's tons of descendants. They didn't
Hmm.
specifically say that, but if that's part of the key to victory, I would think there'd be some sort of disclosure on that. Mm.
Yeah.
Which would make perfect sense why they're always like manipulating our DNA and attacking the DNA in our blood. It's literally with these, jabs and everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Real quick about Jesus and Mary Magdalene being married and having kids. Not too long ago, I read the book by Sylvia Brown, who's a famous psychic,
Mhm.
The Mystical Life of Jesus. And she tells all the information that she has gotten about Jesus, who Jesus really was and what he really did and everything. She says, yeah, he was absolutely married to Mary Magdalene. They did have kids. He didn't actually die on the cross. He lived on much longer after that. And, you know, uh, like the whole missing years that get left out of the modern day Bible. Yeah, he went to Tibet and Egypt and India and learned about, you know, Kundalini yoga and all this kind of stuff. And he did not claim to be the savior of humanity in that way. You know, he like so many things that we think that we're taught are lies about him, you know, because of course, because the cabal is the ones who manipulated his whole message, and you know, Rome, you know, that was like the empire. So
Council of
yeah, so
Nicaea.
that's absolutely true that he Mary Magdalene and they had kids, and so there is a bloodline that those two, you know, started.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating. Then they said, this might upset some people. They said SpaceX, Elon Musk. And then I saw a vision of the moon and Mars, and they said he will do great things for humanity, space exploration and cleanup. And then they said Hunter Biden laptop. They'll find loads of evidence, collusion with Russia, or not Russia, China, selling the US to China, corruption, indictment. And they said Hawaii. Some of that, I believe they're going to find evidence of that. So whenever the Lahaina fires originally happened, I tuned into it to see what the deal was. I didn't know what happened. A lot of people were talking about the directed energy weapons. That even sounded like a little out there for me, but I like tuned into it and I saw the president shaking hands with the leader of China. Whenever I like tuned into that, like Biden was given the green light and made a deal with Xi Jinping to allow them to set directed energy weapons on Lahaina. So
Right. And you know what's really interesting is I've been feeling like we should cover Lahaina again because I've had two people in the past 2 days send me some information about Lahaina again. It's like coming back up. This one guy is actually getting ready to go down and help rebuild, and then this other girl, like essentially a whistleblower, is starting to talk, and it's actually a guest that we might actually try to get on the show. But I think that we should, like, things are already happening in that area, and obviously it'll start coming to light.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, they were saying that's there's going to be some disclosure on that. Then they said SpaceX launch. Elon is doing other good things behind the scenes tied to the quantum financial system being put in place now. That's what they said.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot of people have problem with Elon, and understandably so. I mean, there's good reason to, and for some of the things that he's behind, like the you know the Neuralink and I don't know whatever else. You know, he's literally dressed like Lucifer or Satan in his thumbnail on X or whatever. But I almost wonder if it's you know him trolling or if it's just like he doesn't actually know what he's doing, like he's just kind of playing a role, right? And I don't know if he's getting orders and he's like he's been somebody came to him and like made him an offer like here's the deal, you know, you can choose this side or this side, you know.
That's where I'm leaning towards,
Yeah.
that he was kind of in the dark side, and then he was made an offer or was made aware of kind of like, hey, here's what's up. You have to choose a side kind of thing. And I
Hmm.
think he flipped to work with the light and is now, and I think that's why it explains a lot if you think of it that way, right?
Hmm.
I think it explains why he in the past has said some things or has been involved in some things. And you know, if you look at like his mom, for example, like it's like pretty clear to me that it's like an Illuminati family that he comes from. But to me, it's like he was like a Trojan horse, right?
Hmm.
That's the way I view it. And now he's like helping to take down, kind of like a Trump, kind of filling a role to help take that down and expose it and do all these things. from
Right.
within the belly of the beast, so to speak, right?
And he's been propped up into such a position to where that he is arguably the only free person on the planet. And what I mean by that is that he can't he is literally above the law. Like there is
Mm,
nothing anyone in the political arena, probably even the elites at this point, like he has somehow found his way or been
yeah,
placed in a position to where he is arguably the most influential person in the world, whether you like him or not. And like what better person to use to influence,
right,
and like if you're trying to shift the timeline and you get this man to promote and support Trump and whatever,
right.
whatever you're
Free
trying to
speech
accomplish.
and freedom in general, yeah, and all
Right.
the
Yeah. Right.
And
So,
he's the richest, I think, right?
well,
In
that's what
this,
I'm saying. Like he
yeah,
has so much money, he can't be bought and paid for. Like that's
right.
why he like laughs at whoever tries to control him.
and not only that, but he has the power because in the system we're in, money basically equals power, right? So that's why people like Trump or Elon, they have a lot of power because they have a lot of money. They're able to do a lot of things. And
Right.
Elon, he has all these different companies. So in SpaceX, yeah, on the surface, he's doing rockets and all this stuff that's like a joke, but I think behind the scenes, there's a lot going on that we don't see, and it's a perfect avenue to bring forth anti-gravity or this advanced technology through SpaceX, which, by the way, Tyler and I remember we heard some people inside information that supposedly that was exactly the plan.
Yeah.
A lot of it's going to come through SpaceX,
Hmm. Yeah.
supposedly.
I mean, and yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
And I think he's working with the new financial system as well, which blockchain and the technology like, like XRP, which there's a lot of clues that show he is actually working with Ripple and XRP and this new financial system. And I mean, he literally changed the name of Twitter to X. And there's all these things with like X, XRP, and there's all these other things, SpaceX. So there's something with like X going on that is, I don't know
Right.
exactly what, but there's something there that's like whatever we're moving into
Hmm.
the symbol for.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I often see the ETs started showing me X for like the truth for
Mm.
the so I'll see that.
Well,
And then
there
I
you go.
started to catch on. I'm like, well, because I didn't know about Elon. I didn't really know what to think of him. He's got SpaceX, and then he changed
Mhm.
Twitter to X, and then there's
Yeah.
XRP. I'm like,
XRP.
okay, there's a
Yeah.
connection here, and that's what they show me. They show me that symbol for truth.
Has
Um,
anything about XRP ever showed up, or any crypto or anything like that in your messages?
yeah, they told me it was whenever it was still illegal to buy, and I think it might be illegal to buy again. I tried buying some the other yesterday, and I had to buy something else and then trade it for that. I couldn't buy it outright. But a
There's
year or two ago,
certain
what?
exchanges you can buy. Like I use Uphold. You can buy it just normally
Mm,
on Uphold and BitTrue. I think you also can.
Right.
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
but yeah, they're because they got delisted because of the lawsuit, which by the way they just won, so they should start getting relisted on all of
Hmm.
them very soon.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, no, like Uphold is the one I would recommend using to
Right.
buy XRP.
Okay. Yeah. So like a year or two ago, whenever it was first starting to be talked about, they contacted me and they told me to get that one specifically. And then I had a dream where like I put a little bit in there and then I saw it going up to like $200,000 or more. Like,
Really?
yeah, like going up, 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 up. And they said just hold it. Just hold.
Right.
It's not going to be
Yeah.
like a quick fix. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I would definitely recommend not financial advice or whatever, but if I were you, I would get
Right.
it.
Right. Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's pretty much what I expected as well. And yeah, I knew it's not a quick thing. It's like a long term, but at some point it's going to be because I mean, there's so many things that point to that it's a part of the new financial system we're moving into. It's a
Mm.
very, very crucial part. So it has to be worth a ton, basically. Like it has to be at some point.
Star. So a few people said X means Christ in ancient Aramaic or Hebrew. Star Stretcher said X equals
Mm.
Christ consciousness.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then you have like the Knights Templar with the like the hooked X symbol.
Right.
And yeah, and that's right. Xmas. That's because X is the symbol for Christ.
Oh,
So there you go.
Yeah,
I didn't
interesting.
realize
Yeah, but
that.
I'm still with Joe Rogan whenever he says he goes, I'm not, I'm still gonna call it Twitter forever. I'm not gonna. What do you? He's like, what do? You X somebody or do you tweet them?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm always gonna call it Twitter.
Yeah. No, same. Yeah.
Right.
Right. Okay, so the next thing they said Ukraine, and they said the pedo rings operating in Ukraine, taking all of the missing children, will be exposed. Then I was seeing like visions of like Nazi bases there, and I heard the word Marxists. Um, so there's like, I think Mel Gibson is working on a documentary about that in Ukraine, but there's like 100, last time I heard, which was like a year or two ago, there's like 100,000 plus kids that are just missing
Mhm.
from Ukraine.
Oh, easily. I mean, that's
Probably more, much more.
yeah.
Probably more. Yeah.
Hey, you know, go ahead. Sorry.
You can go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny you mentioned Mel Gibson because I just watched that movie Conspiracy Theory the other day. I
It's a
don't
great
even know. It's like made in like 2000 or something. And
97.
97. Yeah, sorry. And I was blown away actually by what's exposed in that movie, down to like MK Ultra and the assets and like programming people to be assassins and then wiping their memory. And I mean, there's but all the other corruption that's exposed down to like down to literal details that they just like slipped out into the collective consciousness in that movie. And I don't know how I missed it until the other day, but I recommend if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Well, it came out in the 90s and it wasn't a big hit. It's kind of like hardly anyone saw it back then, or even still to this day, most people have never even heard of it.
Right.
Mhm.
I watched it about 10 years ago just because somewhere online I came across somebody talking about it. And I was like, oh, I've never even heard of that movie. But you know, at the point, I was like, let me check this out. And I watched it, and just like you, I was blown away. That was post awakening. That was probably like 2 years or so into my awakening.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap, there's so much disclosure in this. But now I want to watch it again, like you said, because
You should.
probably get even more out of it
Oh, dude,
now.
I was so amazed. I was like, wow. But
Mhm.
I back to the list, Lily.
Yeah, back to
I
the
I want to comment on something real quick. So I just watched They Live for the first time.
Oh,
And
yes. Great
that blew
movie.
me away with the subliminal messages and everything.
Talk
And
about disclosure. Holy crap.
yeah, in the original beings that it was based off of a short story written in the 50s or 60s. And
Mhm.
the original short story, I read it, and the original ETs in there, they look like skeletons in the movie. Originally,
Mhm.
they were reptilians.
Right,
And
right.
that was written in the 50s or 60s. But also they say they go into a meeting of the elites and they say by the year 2025 we will have total control. They literally say, and this is made in the 80s. And then they show the Stargate going to the Andromeda galaxy.
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, and it's like that would just lead me to believe that this is a tipping point, this
Yes.
time period.
Right.
And the assassination attempt and everything was like a major turning point. It was like a
Mhm.
course correction of the timeline. And I think a lot was like weighing on that moment, actually.
Mhm.
And like, because so many people who are tuned in were like all suddenly got messages like that you're safe now. It's okay. Like we can breathe. Like I feel like there was a lot more at stake than many people even understood. And in that moment, it shifted and we all felt it, but we didn't know what happened. We didn't understand it.
Right. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking back on this earlier. For 8 months, like 8, 9 months ago, the ETs were telling me July. Something really big is going to happen in July and shift. And then they said it for a while, and then I forgot about it because it was like 9 months in advance. And then I ended up getting invited to speak at the Rob Potter conference and did a retreat. And I was like, oh, maybe this is what it is. Like, we're going to be doing really important work there. And then my second day there, the assassination attempt happened. And I realized that, oh, like that was it. I
Mm.
went to Shasta the next day and I camped on the mountain and I saw the craziest activity on the mountain and I remote viewed it, saw all ships, huge ships going in. There was a huge interplanetary, intergalactic meeting, beings from all over the place coming. And I asked them what they were doing. And they said that they were assessing the consciousness of the planet and the frequency of the planet because of the assassination attempt. And the next
Really?
morning, whenever I woke up, I was contacted by Adama, the head priest in Telos, and he said, congratulations, like we did it, like we're good. The timeline's good. Continue doing your work, of course, but that what I do, I agree, that was the tipping point. And something just happened over the last few days that solidified it even more to where this information's being allowed to come through.
Right. I mean, then what happened right after that? So they tried to, they did the whole Russian hoax on Trump, then they tried to impeach him, then they tried to convict him, whatever, and then they tried to kill him. And it all didn't work,
Twice,
and all of a sudden
twice
Biden steps
actually.
down. Right, yeah.
They
And
tried to,
then but
the plane they tried to take down after that, and that didn't
right,
work.
yeah, the plane, yeah. So then but then Biden steps down and didn't Elon tweet something today? He's like, what did he say? He sent it to me. It was hilarious.
Oh, he said,
Um,
sometimes I forget that Biden's supposed to be the one running the country. LMAO.
right, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
He's
yeah, he's
trolling.
like, yeah, sometimes I forget. No, seriously, like we
Yeah.
forget. And then
Yeah.
like Kamala is literally the first artificially propped up candidate we've ever had who has
I don't think
no,
they've even mentioned Biden since she's announced that she,
that's what
like,
I'm saying.
once.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it's all they talk. Yeah.
yeah. But like she has nothing to stand on besides the media. Like the media is her
Nothing.
house of
Yeah.
cards. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And it's
She's
just
only,
really interesting.
yeah, she's
Go
only
ahead.
done one interview and it was completely scripted. She didn't even
Yeah.
like explain anything really. She was just talking in circles
The
and it was
most
supposed to
softball
be,
interview ever, also, and it was scripted and
yeah.
yeah.
And it was only 16 minutes long. Trump's done like 30 something interviews, hours long.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's blowing up in their faces. The whole thing's
Right.
blowing up in their faces. Okay, so let's see. They also said that there was a Stargate in Ukraine. The
Mhm.
Ukraine Nazis were using it or something is
I
kind
think
of what I was.
didn't Gene Decode talk about that probably, but that
I
makes,
think he
yeah.
did. Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool confirmation. They said, but it has been moved. The White Hats Alliance have it and are protecting it now. The Nazis will be leaving Ukraine when Trump gets into office. The alliance will force them out. Then Ukraine will begin a long healing process. Russia and Ukraine will come to an agreement, shake hands, settle on lands because of Trump's influence. And then we turn it back to the United States. I heard the word sued. Many corrupt companies are going to be sued for trillions of dollars. And I heard the Rothschilds. Money will be returned to the taxpayers, to the people from all of these corrupt companies.
That's
That's
exactly what
amazing.
Mary Beaver was doing when, like a couple weeks ago, she literally confronted the military, and she was like with Trump's Air Force general, and she had boxes and boxes of paperwork, and was suing all these major corporations because of her bloodline. And like all the companies, I saw the documents, all of the companies were the Rothschild owned companies, which is almost global, every company you can
Which,
imagine.
right. Just
And
basically every.
but each one was like the court case and how much each company was being sued for, and we're talking amounts of money that we don't even have enough zeros for,
Mhm.
and so that's really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. And it will be coming back to us. That sounds great. Um, RFK Jr., he will bring great changes. He was just announced to be part of Trump's transition team. So we're starting to see unity happening where before it was like red versus blue, and it's not that anymore. Really big people who are apparently Democrats like RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. They kept telling her name kept coming. I didn't even know who she was a couple weeks ago, but they keep mentioning her to me and they say, pay attention to her. She's going to be bringing out a lot of corruption and playing a really big part as well. Both of them just endorsed Trump, which says a lot because it's not there. People are teaming up no matter their difference of opinion, their difference of background, or what political, whatever they identify with. They're all coming together to essentially take down the cabal, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. Um,
Can can you
what?
imagine like you have these big name Democrats just flipping Republican? Like, can you imagine the liberals like just like pulling their hair out?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, with
just
RFK alone, I'm sure a ton of
right,
them had a meltdown. I'm
right.
sure because
Uh, but
it's
I
like,
mean, at some point, these people have got to snap out of it. I mean,
right.
and
It's like at
Yeah.
what point does like how bad, how crazy does stuff have to get,
Right.
or like
Well,
how obvious do things have to get?
I mean, it's still, it shows you the potency of the mind control still, and
Right,
the reason that we're being poisoned from the sky and the food and the water, like that's the only way they can keep this up. If these people
right.
can stay dumbed down, then they can at least maintain some sort of facade, right? And that's what they're relying on at this point. And the media is obviously the biggest, that, they're at the top of the pyramid as far as that goes. But
Mhm.
Right.
anyway,
And
continue.
they're just blatantly lying. Like I've been watching
Oh yeah,
more of like speeches and just political interactions and stuff like that. And then you go on Google and look up the articles, just
Right.
completely lying, just making stuff up to trigger people, to make people hate, to think a certain
yeah,
way. And RFK
yeah.
Jr., he's going to be playing a big role in many things. So he's going to help clean up the corruption. And he's going to be part of Trump's transitional team, getting rid of people, corrupt people. And I think the two-party system is going to be broken down. Like it's not, we're not going to, they didn't say that, but I get that strong feeling that that's where we're heading. That's going to be collapsing. But
He,
RFK Jr. is also a big advocate for banning the chemtrails.
that's what I was
The
just gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pesticides in food, the chemicals in food, big pharma, Dr. Fauci, COVID, all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the election fraud, obviously that's a big one they're going to try, and also I think the jab, I think will start information. I think that we're going to see a lot of stuff start to surface on all of those.
Yeah, and RFK wrote a book about Dr. Fauci and he's done a lot of research and has a lot of intel on that.
Right.
So and the CIA, they were saying the CIA will be exposed and RFK is going to play a big part in that, in taking it down. It will collapse. And I saw the military soldiers, but they were like positive to help bring ensure a peaceful transition with the collapse of the CIA. Um, and then the JFK information, of course. They are a national security threat to the CIA and will be treated and judged as so. There will be justice. And then I saw like a big memorial ceremony in honor of JFK and his memory, and all of that. Do you
Wow.
have anything to say on that?
So I do have something to say. So on 9/11 on Wednesday, we're going to upload a video on our channel. And the video is from a VHS tape that was filmed in 2002. A friend of mine was literally handed this tape by a stranger in the street, and he told her, and he said, he told her that he felt like he could trust the tape with her. I feel like it's in good hands with you. He said, you might want to hide it and it'll mean something to you later. And it has, she found it literally like a couple weeks ago, and it made its way to me. And I just converted it from VHS to digital format, and we're going to upload it on our channel. But what it does is it's 2 hours long, and it's some of the most damning evidence. But it was filmed in 2002, and it exposes the military industrial complex, the war on terrorism, the CIA, the intelligence agencies, and I mean it's the dirt, it's the sauce.
Mhm.
It's not claims, and
Wow.
it's and the connections with China and some of the stuff that like they're talking about, that the Federation's telling you about. Like all of a sudden now we have this information that's backdated 20 years, but it's coming to the surface again. And whoever watches it, a lot of it's old information, but a lot of it's details that a lot of us aren't aware of. And it's especially great. It's a great introduction for people who aren't aware of any of this stuff. Anyway, we're going to drop that on Thursday or Wednesday on 9/11. And so it's just like more confirmation. Like, why would this tape was given to her in 2003 by a random man. She forgot about it until a couple weeks ago, whenever she was going through some old books because she's moving or something. The tape fell out, and she's like, "Oh my God!" And then she's like, "I know who this has to go to," and she gave it to me. So, I mean, it's like everything's just finding its way out, literally to the surface.
And you had to buy a VHS player and somehow convert it from
Yeah, I
VHS
did. No, I
to
borrowed a VHS player
how you
from
borrowed.
a VCR from my uncle, and I bought a converter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I literally just converted the whole thing today. And
I call it a VHS player. I forgot it. That's how long ago I
yeah,
forgot the VCR.
you go, yeah,
That's how.
It's amazing. Well, and that's what like a big theme that I'm picking up on with this too. The evidence is out there. It just was not the time for it to come out yet.
right,
But now
Yeah.
the time, so all of this crazy evidence is going to start coming up. The next thing they said, the Bush administration JFK files will lead traces back to Bush Sr. Many of the corrupt politicians and elites, they will be found guilty and charged for fraud, lies, deceit. The justice system is being cleaned up as we speak, being replaced.
yeah,
So
yeah.
go ahead.
Just that tape also connects the Bushes and Bush Senior. They go all the way back to Hitler and how Preston Bush was actually funding Hitler's political party and all this. I mean, it was like it just exposes all of it. And like a lot of the stuff like we've known if you've been into this, but again, like it's more confirmation. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and I don't know much about the whole political all of that stuff. I don't know too much about it. So
That's like that's kind of in like the OG, as I call truther realm of people that have been researching all the conspiracy information for decades. Almost all of them, you ask them about 9/11, they'll give you like the whole detailed, like every detail of what the truth was. Because back when 9/11 happened, all those people were like, that was like the big thing, so they all like dug
Right.
into it like so much, whereas like my awakening happened in 2012, and by then 9/11 was kind of old news, even though I still dug it. Like Zeitgeist, if you guys have watched the first Zeitgeist documentary, that 9/11, they talk about the truth of 9/11, and that was my first exposure to
Right.
the truth, was that documentary. And then I heard David Icke talk about it, and David Wilcock and Jordan Maxwell and others, and then I watched like Loose Change and the other documentaries.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know. There's a lot I'm sure I don't know, and I'm sure I haven't even watched this video that Tyler's talking about yet. But I'm excited to watch it with you guys.
Right.
It'll be
Yeah.
my first
So
time
I
as
mean,
well.
I think it's important to release it on 9/11 too, and it's more for an energetic purpose too. I can already see
Mhm.
people like I can already see the comments. Oh, old news, we know this. It's not about that. Like we have to keep just like the mainstream media has to keep like repeating the lie over and over and over. Like we have to keep doing the same thing with the truth until it
Mhm.
catches on and collectively, like the 100th monkey
Yeah.
effect, right? And I think it's just like more of an energetic imprint that has to happen and it has to be like released and so we can like preserve the history because at all costs they're trying to like erase history and separate us from our true origins, right? So this is like a perfect way to just make sure that we keep the fire burning.
yeah, it's all
Right.
divine timing. It's amazing. Um, So the justice system is being cleaned up as we speak, being replaced. There will be no more weaponization of the justice departments, no more corruption. So we're starting to see this. I think like some of the corrupt people are being forced to leave, or maybe they are being negotiated with, and they're going to be flip-flopping. But we're starting to see this with like the Hunter Biden thing. He was just convicted of 3 felonies, I think yesterday, for gun charges. So it doesn't have to do with like the laptop, but that's coming. But it's a start,
Right.
like that's a start.
Mhm.
Before he was like untouchable. So we're starting to see that. And then I asked about Obama because the other day I woke up and I heard Obama, Bush. And they said he has criminal ties with Biden. He will be exposed and brought to justice. And then they were showing me Michelle Obama. And I said, will it be exposed? She is a trans or male. And I don't know what I thought about that. I've heard that for a while. And they said, yes, their whole persona is a lie. Their family, it's all a fabricated lie. And I don't
Mhm.
know like too
Yeah.
much about that, but that's what
Yeah,
they
those
said.
aren't even their
Those
kids.
those aren't even their kids.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I guess that's
all
going to come out like proof of that.
And his real name, what was it, like Barry
Barry
Santino
Soetoro,
or
and
Toro?
then
Yeah.
Barack Obama. Yeah. So that's not even his name. Yeah. Michelle is actually Michael.
And we know about the birth certificate and all
Birth
that.
certificate is fake. Yeah. It's all a construct. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
mean, kind of like, that's a good metaphor though for like everything about the Matrix. It's like it's all a
Right.
construct,
Right.
and all this whole reality that so many people thought was reality is gonna, it's
Oh,
currently happening. It's being exposed, and everyone's like, oh, it's all fake. It's all a lie.
right. You know what else is in this video? The 9/11, they exposed the election fraud from 2003 for the way the Bush got in. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't,
Oh yeah.
that was way before I was paying attention to anything,
Oh
but
yeah.
like, I mean, it just blows my mind the stuff that's in there. Anyway,
Wow, that's
All
amazing.
that, the hanging chads and the
yeah.
and all that back then.
Wow.
I mean, back then I was so young. All I, I just believed what my parents believed politically, and I didn't
Mhm.
quite, I didn't know. I was so asleep to everything that. But it's funny because like looking back, I could see now. I was like, oh yeah, I remember so many people pointing out all these like um things that were off or wrong about that election. That at the time I just was like, ah, whatever.
Right, right.
But now I'm like, oh, they actually were like seeing, some things,
Hmm.
even though again, like that was one of those, both candidates were deep state people. Like you had freaking Bush or Al Gore, they're both deep state, but they
Right.
still had their selection of Bush that they wanted in.
I
Same
think,
with 2004, same with 2008, same with, until Trump, he was like the end of that.
I think Kylo showing up is a sign that the Lyrans are here with us, right?
He's being
Yeah.
very extra, being
Hi,
very extra.
Kylo.
He's like, don't forget to say the Lyrans.
Right.
Wow, he's
He's
funny.
representing.
He's already eaten two of my freaking mics this week.
Oh, really?
It's
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
because he has a lot to say. He's like, talk about the
Yeah,
Lyrans.
right.
Yeah, I had to buy some new mic covers. So they said they are all on a sinking ship. Obama, Hillary, Biden, Bush, Clintons. And I said, okay, what about Hillary? So I think it was like a month ago or so, I randomly got a telepathic message, Hillary's going down. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, when? And they said in 3 to 6 months is what they said. So yeah, so I asked, what about Hillary? And then they said Rothschilds, slave trade, deep state. And then they were showing me all of the underground networks, the pedo rings, elite, the Illuminati, the worshippers will be exposed. Klaus Schwab, they said his name. So she's gonna be tied to that, like really dark shit.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, which is wild. And they kept saying like Klaus Schwab, and Klaus Schwab, the founder of World Health Economic Forum. I recall just recently it was announced that he is stepping down from active leadership of the World Health Economic Forum by 2025. So there's a reason for that. That's no coincidence. Maybe he was given like, forced to
Right. Right.
step
Yeah.
down. The Epstein list. They were talking about the Epstein list coming out. And they said not just the list, but footage, proof of their terrible acts, of their blackmailing scheme. Klaus Schwab will be linked to this. He is very evil. That's what they said. Do you have any comments on that?
I mean, probably, but I don't know how much more you have left, and I want to hear
I'm
what else.
almost done, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I know the Epstein stuff is, um, like who did we just interview? Oh, talking about a lot of those people were blackmailed into even going to the island, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So we have to remember that too. Some of these people who like Stephen Hawking, like what the heck is he gonna do? Like he was like
Right.
literally like compromised, right? These people are like forced, basically threatened,
Yeah.
and I
And
think a
and
world just flew
and
by
the
them.
Epstein thing is just the tip of the iceberg too. There's this whole vast network of child trafficking, and it's and really goes off planet. If you every rabbit hole you go down, eventually it leads to ETs and off planet, and
Mm.
that kind of stuff. And that's the truth that needs to come out as well. But I understand it's a process. But
It'll
yeah, I
really
think,
freak people out.
well,
Yep.
that's the thing. That's kind of the big thing for a long time. That's been like, oh, can people handle the truth? Well, yeah, I mean, it has to come out because everything has to come out. Otherwise, we're just perpetuating more lies. But
Um,
I do understand it has to be a process, and I do think though, very soon the ET stuff is going to come out, and the reptilian and the
You know,
the whole web of control there, has been
I
operating.
agree. I agree, but I want to comment on a comment. He said there are future Dust 33 said there are clones everywhere though, but come on guys, use discernment. Yeah, there are clones everywhere. And a lot of the people that are going to be taken down publicly might have already been taken down behind the scenes, but publicly, I think what Lily's talking about, I think publicly we're going to finally see it happen. These people are going to be exposed. Their clones can't
Yeah.
replace them anymore. And, whatever that clone, like obviously they're going to keep, popping up like whack-a-mole and do whatever they can. But I think they're at a point now where they're not even going to have access to the technology to release another clone,
Right.
and I think
Because
that,
if they just take it, if they just do the cleanup and replace everyone with clones and no one knows the truth ever, what's the point of that?
right,
I mean, you got people have to understand the truth. And so even if they've already all been replaced with clones, it doesn't matter. The truth still has to come out.
right.
Either it has to,
Exactly. So if they
and
all
it's
have to
going
be taken down again publicly just so
right.
people can see it, then that's what
And
has to happen.
that's what has to happen.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Well, people need to be aware of what's been going on. So yeah,
Right.
these messages is more like on the surface level, like what we'll be seeing in the public eye,
Right.
from my understanding. Yeah, I mean, if like with Biden, I was just thinking about Biden. They said he has fallen, like he's already fallen. If they could have just replaced him with like a mint condition clone, why didn't they?
Right.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know
If
what
they
happened.
could have.
Well,
There's a
Carrie
lot of things
Cassidy,
they
yeah.
could have done if they could have done it. And the fact that they haven't is a really good sign. It means they're not in control fully,
Well, Carrie Cassidy thinks that they were pulling some of them weren't even clones, but they're pulling versions of these people from like parallel Earth, like other timelines too.
Mhm. Could
Like
be that too.
swapping assets essentially.
Wow.
And you could probably imagine that they can monitor the timelines like in the Matrix when Neo's with the architect and all the computer screens and stuff. Like they could probably like, oh, okay, this Biden looks all right in this timeline. Like let's grab him.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
replace him with a clone. We need him over here. Like who knows what it looks like.
Right. Yeah, very convoluted. Okay, then it gets lighter, and then there will be a time of peace and prosperity. This will be difficult for many to process. The transition will be difficult for some. Have compassion for your fellow brothers and sisters. And also, like, let's just not be mean to each other. Even if we don't agree on everything, like use your discernment, of course, but we don't have to be fighting each other, especially in this community. We
Right.
need to start
Right.
coming together.
Exactly.
Exactly.
People have been posting about that lately. And, I see that. And, there's still some of the big name truthers that are just like, they just can't let off the gas. They have to make sure that they tell you that these people are frauds. Don't listen to these people. I mean, like, if you really want to break it down, that's ultimately they're working against freedom of speech, right? Like, what are we even
You're
fighting
being a
for?
hypocrite.
They're being a
You're being a
hypocrite. Yeah.
massive,
You
massive
think
hypocrite.
you're playing a role in disclosure when but you're telling your audience who they can and can't listen to. And
Yeah.
like you're literally like shutting people's voices down. You mean to tell me that you're not being manipulated by the dark? I'm sorry. Like it's just you can't. There's no other way to
Right.
look at that, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
we have to like
Right.
some of these people that are literally taking away our free speech, even in the truther movement. Like we have to really start asking questions and who's who, right now. And
That's a dictatorship.
right,
Yeah.
right,
And canceling people because they interview the wrong person or they support the wrong person, which I've seen happen.
right.
Like, oh, you're cut off from my group now. And it's the fact that they're forming these little groups, and then you're either with us or against us, and like all that has to stop. That's all nonsense. That has to end.
Right.
All this
Right.
division and cliques and groups and like,
Well, I
no,
mean,
we're
all of it.
the only ones with the true disclosure. No, we're the only ones speaking the truth. Like, no.
I mean, everything is going to be backfire. Everything is going to backfire. Everything, no matter what somebody
Yeah.
tries to do to you, it's all going to be mirrored back right now. Like, I don't think that just the game is changing,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. So just a few other things. They said there will be a golden age, and I was seeing visions of advanced ancient technology and artifacts surfacing, a golden age of advancement, prosperity, wisdom, discovery, remembering our true history. Ancient artifacts and tech will be discovered all over the world. Atlantis. History will be rewritten. They will discover the pole shift and why it happened, the collapse of the once great civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. Humans will also discover that there was life on Mars. They will find ancient temples, structures there. I asked if there was anything else, and they said the Bible, the truth within it, the prophecy, the corruption in it will be revealed. And then I woke up this morning. Do you want to say anything on that? There's just a few other things that I got.
That's amazing, and that's
right.
That's a massive bomb of truth.
Yeah.
It can't come soon enough, in my opinion, because man, religion in general has been, one of the biggest strongholds of control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I mean, the religions are the gatekeepers, right? I mean,
yeah. But but they started from like a true source, and then it gets distorted and manipulated and usurped by the control system and turned into what the modern day religions have turned into.
Right.
And that has to come out as well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So this morning I woke up and I heard Aprils of great influence. So this April, really big shifts, really big things are going to happen. And it felt kind of like whenever they told me about, July, like 8 months ago, it felt like something like that, like something really, really big. And April I'm doing this Sedona Retreat. We're going to be doing a bunch of grid work and stuff there. So it's just interesting that it's in April. And I think Tony's doing another event in April as well. And then they said January 10th, the specific date, January 10th. And I said, what about January 10th? And I heard, lock her up, Hillary.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
she will.
wow.
She will be found guilty. People are gathering everything they can on her now. It is already in the works. And I'm thinking like Epstein list. I wonder if the Benghazi emails, or maybe somebody backed up the emails. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I think the Epstein stuff, they're going to get her on something. So January 10th is going to be specific to her, is what it sounded like. And then I said, what's happening in April? And then I saw a vision of Elon Musk. And then I saw like farmers and stuff, and I heard Easter. I don't know, there could be like some spiritual, religious thing too, but I saw Elon Musk as well. And then I heard November, Kamala's campaign is going to botch it, exposed, Illuminati, Bible begins. They said Bible begins. And I was like sensing like revelations, purge of evil, of darkness from earth. And that's what I got.
Wow.
I tuned in about Zuckerberg real quick, and others potentially being replaced suddenly because they're suddenly like changing their stance on things. And they replied, negotiated, like they negotiated with him or something. He could have been replaced too, but they specifically said there was a negotiation with him about his new rule. What?
That reminds me of Putin supporting coming out and supporting Kamala's campaign, but the way I see that as the biggest troll move ever, because they were trying so hard to pair Trump with Russia, right? And then now you have Russia supporting the Democrats, and it's the biggest troll.
Like, good luck with that now, right?
Yeah. It's almost like Trump and Putin had a conversation. He was like, dude, should I support Kamala just to fuck with them? And he's like, no, do it.
Yeah.
Like, I swear.
So it's a total like reverse psychology chess move. It's amazing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the energy I feel behind it. I'm like you could even see the smirk in his face. Like he's not even serious about it. Like it's just, they don't, it's like they already know what's happening, so they don't even care what people think of him,
Well, because if he came out and supported Trump, then they can keep running with the Trump is colluding with Russia, Russia's controlling, blah, blah, blah. But then he literally takes all that away from him.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, good luck with that. Right.
It's a perfect chess move. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just today, Dick Cheney also endorsed Kamala and said that he was going to vote for her. And he's like very dark. He's got a lot of blood on his hands.
Oh, yeah. To put it mildly. Yeah.
Cheney's actually exposed in this 9/11 film.
I can't wait to watch it.
I mean, they don't say a whole lot about him, but they definitely show how he's tied in with all of it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was one of the first names that the ETs started giving me whenever they were like giving me political stuff to like look into and kind of teaching me about that was Dick Cheney and how just like how evil and how involved he is. And Tulsi Gabbard, who they keep hinting at saying they keep saying her name, saying like keep an eye on her, pay attention because she's going to have a big role. She just got put on the FBI watch list by the
Yeah.
Kamala campaign, which
Yeah.
is that's
This is hilarious. Like
Right.
because she came out in support of Trump, they put her on an FBI watch list. Like
Yeah.
yeah, they're
what
afraid.
what in what world like do people see that and they're okay with like you're really okay with that? You really don't think that's it just blows my mind that like
Well, I mean,
how is that not just so obvious that
if you don't know any better, you're still believing in everything that comes through the media, and you're going to be like, oh, well, they must have had dirt on her. Like you're just
she
going to
must
assume.
be evil? Yeah, she
Yeah,
must like
you just like we all did. People just assume that
yeah,
the authority knows what they're doing, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
then, oh,
Which
well,
couldn't
they
be
obvious.
further.
There's no way she would be put on the watch list unless they actually had dirt on her.
It's
Not
not the
under.
people putting her on the watch list that are
Right.
evil. No, it must be her,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, but she came out and said, made a statement about that, about Dick Cheney endorsing Kamala, and was like, that's just a really bad look. And that actually helps Trump's case because Dick Cheney is like, she basically
yeah,
said he's responsible for like decades and decades of war and so
Right.
much corruption. So it's
which
funny those things are happening.
basically everyone on the left knows about and hates him. So the fact that he
Right.
supports Kamala, maybe that's a chess move to get some of them to wake up to be
Right.
like,
Right.
second, Dick Cheney supporting Kamala,
You,
like,
you know what?
all these things matter.
I'm noticing too is like pay attention to the music industry right now because that's like one of their big that's one of their big players, I guess if you want to call it that. They're still using the music industry heavily
Mhm.
for their black magic and their rituals and like to influence the masses. And like the stuff in particular with the Eminem and Taylor Swift and Post Malone, like follow these people. They're literally like this is how they're gonna still manipulate the collective, the people that listen to that music and like look up to these people, like that's the target audience right now. And so I mean literally pay attention to it, like Eminem's new music video called Houdini, and like there's two of them in the video. Obviously we know they're always talking about clones, but they're also talking about magic, and there's a lot of Luciferian symbolism. So I think that's like there's they're trying to strong arm people into this lower timeline via the music industry still. So in my opinion, just pay attention to that. And if you have kids, pay attention, make sure you pay attention to what they're listening to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on Mark Zuckerberg, real quick. So they said that they negotiated with him about his new role, admitting to the corrupt government telling him to censor and suppress the truth, like with COVID, the Hunter Biden laptop, while promoting false narratives like the Russian collusion hoax and all of that. And now he's openly admitting that in court. And also endorsing Trump suddenly.
Right.
So he's like totally like flip-flopped. So yeah, just pay attention to that stuff that's happening now too. People are just kind of like switching and yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what I got.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
impressed, especially for not being into politics and the information that you've got and some of the specifics. Obviously, we know we take everything with a grain of salt. There were some very specific dates and time periods you mentioned, and we know how things can change. So we're not like, don't everyone that's listening, don't marry yourself to all this information, but just take it for what it is. If it resonates, then that's great. But we don't want to like promote false hope or anything like that, even though a lot of what you said totally resonates and things do feel like they're going that direction. I'm just, disclaimer for anyone who might be giving you a hard time if, nothing happens on January 10th or something. So,
Yeah.
um, but I'm impressed that you're able to get that much and even connect in that way to write 5 pages worth. I mean, that's amazing, and I think that you must be doing something right. So we
Thank you.
appreciate that. And can you tell our audience about your book? We never even got to interview you about your new book and all that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing, amazing book.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, so this came
Yeah.
out in, was it April or May? My book Contact.
April. Mhm.
Yeah, so that it's incredible true story of contact with beings from another world and spiritual awakening. It goes through, it has a lot of my like UFO footage and goes through my initial contact journey, kind of from a beginner standpoint because I wasn't in this community, but I got the crash course and all this in my contact with the ETs, messages that they taught me about DNA, activating psychic abilities, and how to make contact and all of that. So I think beginners will enjoy it, but also people who have been awake for 10, 20 years will also benefit from it and like it. So yeah, that's my book. There's definitely going to be, more books to come.
Right. Yeah. And it's available on Amazon. And I think, I don't know if I put the link into the description. I definitely put your website and your YouTube channel, but you could get the book through your website, right?
Yeah, I think there's a link for it on my website. You can also just search Contact by Lily Nova on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And a cool thing on Amazon, Amazon's been putting our books together for like people who bought this book also bought. It's always like your book. On my page, it's always like your book and Megan Rose's book.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Like people who bought my book also bought.
Right.
And
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do
I think
notice
for
that
your
too.
page, it says my book also. Yeah. So
Right.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
notice that too. Yeah.
It's kind of like a training course in there too. I call it Starseed Boot Camp, all the things that Star Family taught me how to do to raise my frequency and all of that and initiate contact. So there's a lot of good tips and stuff in there.
yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so this is this has been fun. And yeah, of course use discernment with everything, but I think they don't typically give me that detailed of information and put like kind of timelines on things. But I really feel there's been a huge shift and just pay attention. Really, they keep telling me just pay attention. You'll start seeing some of these things are starting to play out. So
I've been seeing more craft in the sky than I've ever seen. And I'm not talking about like, oh, is that a satellite or is that craft? I mean, legitimate like ship or light that'll be there and it'll move and it'll go away. And then another one, like the skies are active. And I don't know if maybe it's particularly for me, but um, just pay attention. I think things are changing and if we're always so distracted, we're gonna miss things that are literally right next to us sometimes. And
It's
who
not
knows?
just
What?
and keep holding your light. We need, we've got this time dilation of this positive timeline that's expanding and being solidified, but we need to continue putting in the work and doing our grid work and all of that.
Right.
Holding sacred space, because of course dark forces are still going to try, but from the messages that I got, a lot of them are leaving and are being cleaned up right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing. And I think there's a bright future ahead, and I know there is.
Yeah.
But we have
manifest
to,
it.
right. But we can't just like lay back, right? I mean, like you said, keep doing the work, and like we have to keep this energy up, keep the momentum going, so guys, we have a busy schedule coming up this week even. So on Wednesday on 9/11, we're going to drop that video that I've been talking about. And then we're going to have another regularly scheduled Thursday episode. And then we are going to be live on Sunday night with a roundtable with Lily, Tony Rodriguez, Jackie Kenner, the whole group of people that are going to be speaking at the Odyssey event in Sedona. And we're going to kind of just, have a little roundtable and chat and promo for that event. So we have quite a busy schedule this week. So stay tuned for all that. And Aaron, did you post that? Did you upload your thing on Patreon today?
No, I'm gonna redo it. Actually, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I
Okay,
watched.
never
I'm like,
mind.
oh, that's terrible.
Well,
So
Aaron's got something he's gonna be putting on Patreon soon, and
it's just a book review video. I briefly talk about my book at the beginning, and then I mention all the books that kind of inspired my book and me in general. Not all, but a bunch. And yeah, just a little video. So
right on.
hopefully tomorrow that will be up on our Patreon.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, so we have a busy week, and guys, go check out Lily's book, her website. She has
YouTube.
retreats, her YouTube channel. Go subscribe over there. Those links are in the description. You have some retreats coming up. Do you want to tell people about?
Yeah, sure. So I've got one coming up in April, and I've got one coming up in October too, but that one's full in April for Sedona. So that's up on the website, and it's going to be like a transformation retreat and energy vortex tour. And we're going to be doing a lot of grid work there and connecting with the Lemurians. They have a strong presence there as well. Sasquatch, making contact with Star Family, all that fun stuff. And then I'm going to be doing another Mount Shasta one in July. I don't have the information on that up yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
Mount
Right.
Shasta was amazing. I just did 2 lives on it. If you want to look at some of the footage uh, that we got crazy footage. So many crazy things happened in Mount Shasta in July. So I did 2 lives on it. If you go to my YouTube
Mm-hmm.
channel and want
Yeah,
to check that
go
out.
check them out. They're amazing. And yeah,
Mhm.
Shasta was incredible for so many reasons, and it's just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So
It's
if you've never been there, I mean, you have to go. It
yeah,
blew me away. Like you think it couldn't have been hyped up anymore because of all the, the Telos and the Inner Earth stuff and all this, the events that are down there. And it still like exceeded my expectations because you just can't, you can talk about it all you want, but until you're there bathing in that energy and experiencing what it's actually like to be there, it's really beautiful.
why
Yeah.
do you think I've been trying to get you to go for like
Right.
7 years
Exactly.
now?
That was your
Right.
first time, Tyler?
Yeah. That
Oh
was my
my
first time in
gosh.
Shasta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my 5th time, I think.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. Aaron's
My
like,
partner Amanda and I guess whatever term I love Amanda and we just had we're calling it commitment ceremony. Like
yeah.
wasn't officially a wedding, but it was a wedding style commitment ceremony on the mountain. And Tyler and our friend Toby officiated it, and it was beautiful. And Lily, you were there,
Yeah.
and
We went
yeah,
back there during the retreat and you could feel the love. Like you
that's
could still
amazing.
feel the energy there. And we did another ceremony there with my retreat. And that's whenever like time like stopped and things shifted and the power grid went out in Shasta for an hour. It was crazy.
Wow,
mm,
that's
yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Right. The power of love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
Uh,
Beautiful.
yeah. So yeah, and then we have the Egypt trip coming up in March. That yeah,
That's gonna
Following
be
my
big too.
following
right.
my footsteps. I
Right.
went last
Yeah.
year.
Aaron, you went and like went and like prepared the timeline, right? And then now we're
Right,
coming in like
right,
yeah.
right. I prepared it.
You're,
Now you
yeah,
guys are.
you're like anchoring yourself in all these locations. Yeah.
I did Shasta first, and then you can, and
Right.
then Egypt, then you did Egypt. Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting concept that I think happens that I don't think people even really consider sometimes is I think, we're all on our own individual timeline sometimes. And let's just say
Mhm.
like if you're in the frequency of a specific timeline, not the rest of the collective isn't. So whenever you go and do grid work at some of these sites or whatever it is, you're almost like you're like ahead of the timeline, right? You're
Mhm.
like on the timeline before other people actually get there. So you can prepare it for when
Yeah,
people start to shift. And
yeah,
it's
for
really
sure.
interesting to look at that way.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Um,
100%.
okay,
Beautiful.
so I guess we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up. Also, guys, don't forget about Aaron's book. I keep telling him he needs to talk about it more. I know you just did, you talked about the book review, but his book, Waking to the Infinite Universe, it's become one of my most like I always go, it's my go-to book for research. Like you have everything in there. And
Not
like if I
everything. There's a lot I did not
but
include.
there's quite a bit. And then like honestly though, I'm not even just blowing smoke up your ass. I really find
Mhm.
myself like, oh yeah, he wrote about this. And then like you have a synopsis of whatever it might be and like summarize beautifully so you can like get the gist of it. And if I need like specific information, and I just find myself referencing it a lot. And I think it's too good of a book to just be sitting on Amazon untouched. So people need to get on and get online and buy his book if you haven't
Yeah,
already.
it's still selling, just not just very. That's the sales have definitely slowed way down. But thank you so much. And there is a book two, Waking to the Infinite Universe book two that will be coming out next year that will pick up where I left off with book one. So be on the lookout for that
Wow.
sometime in the first half of next year.
That's exciting.
And but yeah, pick up my book if you haven't, if you want, and pick up Lily's book because her book is amazing. By the way, there's Lily has her own chapter in my book that's basically like a little preview of her book. So if
Mhm.
you get my book and you read that chapter and you enjoyed it, get her book because it goes way more in depth and, you know,
Mhm.
kind of
Thank you.
a lot more.
Right
So,
on. So I
Look
guess
at
we'll go.
it.
We'll go ahead and wrap this up now. Thank you guys all for being here. This was amazing information.
thank you
I was
guys.
really actually thought it was all awesome and confirms a lot of the stuff that I've been hearing and feeling on my own. And I really think there's a bright future. Like I said, I'm excited for what's around the corner. So
Exciting time.
also, if Trump does get in, he also said that he's gonna cut the cost of living in half, like the cost of homes in half. So if you want to sell your house, I would do it before that. So you're gonna
Yeah,
get top dollar for it.
right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Do it in the next
right.
4 months if you're gonna
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah.
So Aaron Kundalini, that's your
Yeah,
new
I saw
nickname.
that. That's my new
Exciting
nickname.
times. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. We love you.
Hi guys, we love you.
We'll
Thank
see you again on Thursday, and stay tuned for the video drop on Wednesday for September 11th. And let me get to the
And
screen.
thank
so
you,
I can-
Lily, for coming on and giving us all that amazing
Yeah.
info.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Exciting times.
we're gonna have to wait a second. My computer's like, I can't get the page to load, so I can
They
end
want
the
us to
live.
stay on.
Right, I'm trying. It's literally not going. It's like, I don't know. I might have to refresh the whole page or something. I'm trying to get to the. It's just frozen.
That's strange.
We're just gonna stay live
Right,
forever.
so we're gonna stay live for a couple more minutes.
Staying live forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me have to just close
Close
the
this.
whole window and pull it back up again, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah.
Unless it ended the live when I exited out. Dude, I don't
Think
know
you're
what's going
still
on
live.
here. Yeah, are we still live? Go look.
Are you just gonna have to turn your computer off? Just stop the live.
No, I need to quit the live when I exit.
No, yeah, I think we're still live.
The chat's still going. We're still live.
All right, just give me a second here. Okay, it's working again. Okay. All right, guys. Good night. We love you. Until next
Bye
time.
guys. We
Have a
love
great
you
evening.
all.